Well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We're really excited to share our annual report. This is a tradition that we've had for a long time. I'm going to go ahead and start recording. Actually, I think we're already recording at this point. And me gustaría dar la bienvenida a todos esta noche. Si están interesados en participar en la interpretación de nuestra presentación, pueden cambiar la música la interpretación al español. Van a ver un símbolo de un globo en la parte de abajo de la página y ahí pueden cambiarlo al español. So just giving some directions about changing the language to Spanish. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Actually, before I share my screen, I want to give some introductions here of who has joined me today. And I want to welcome our cabinet team, our Deputy Superintendent in charge of Business Services, Leanne Reyes. Welcome, Leanne. And Associate Superintendent of Educational Services, Debbie Bodenheimer. Our Chief Technical and Innovation Officer, Jason Borgen. And our Human Resources Director, Executive Director, Troy Cope. And our Communications Director and PIO, Public Information Officer, Nikki Barra. And Berenice Valentin, my amazing, wonderful assistant and support, my right hand. Welcome, everybody. And I'd like to also welcome Jessica Castañeda, who is helping us with interpretation. So thank you so much for joining us. We are excited to share some great information with you, and hope you find this something that is of interest and help you learn more about the County Office of Education. We know that many of you are staff members with the County Office, so thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and let's see here. And let's see, we're going to go to presentation and get us started. All right. So the 2021-22 annual report. So we wanted to share with you just a couple of things. The requirement to have an annual report is something that the County Offices of Education are required to have. And it's something that we have been trying out different approaches, different styles. And one thing we knew that we wanted to make sure that it was something that was really highlighted our students. And so you'll see when you get a copy of the report, you'll be able to, you're going to be able to get a PDF of the report. You're going to see that it's really something that hopefully is going to catch your eye, and you're going to see the colors that we use for a lot of our initiatives in there. But most importantly is that students are really the highlight. And in the content of the report includes an overview of our programs, our initiatives. It's organized around our three strategic priorities, which are part of strategic plan. And so you'll be hearing more about it, about those strategic priorities in just a moment. And one thing that we, instead of having a very lengthy, dense report that was hard to read, what we decided to do is keep it short and succinct and put QR codes. So if you're interested in a certain section, there's a QR code in each section. You're able to pull up your phone, scan that QR code, and it will take you to a web page that will give you more information about that. And so we really wanted to build it as an introduction to some of the different initiatives for the school year. And it's not only about, it's not really a comprehensive description of all our initiatives. It really is something focused on the things that we prioritize and were a big focus for us for the 21-22 school year. We have printed versions as well as digital copies, and we'll have them. If you want a printed version, you can request it by email. You could come here to the lobby at the County Office of Education, and if you go to that link that is sitting right there, sccoe.link/annual reports, you'll be able to download a PDF of the annual report for the school year, and we're going to have all of our annual reports that are available on PDF there as well. So we wanted to start with giving you an overview of the role of the County Office of Education. First, kind of there's two main approaches, two main areas, two main components of the work that we do. One is that we provide oversight and support to school districts. This comes from a variety of different supports, such as professional development. We support our districts with different initiatives. We help with their budgeting. We support them with enrollment and financial reports and ADA reports. And for the last 2.5 years, we've been focusing a lot on health and COVID-19. We also have our own schools and our own services that we offer, and that includes alternative education services, special education services. We have really been highlighting our student leadership. We have an outdoor science school. We support science and engineering fair, arts and environmental education, and a variety of other services that you're going to see some pieces of which are going to be highlighted in tonight's presentation. But most people, when they ask about the County Office of Education, they're not necessarily familiar with all the different things that we do. And tonight is not really about highlighting everything that we do, just because there's a lot to talk about, but really to talk about what we highlighted over the last year. And so when looking at our who we are and who we serve, the County Office of Education, the students that we serve almost 1,500 students in our special education program, our alternative education program, and other services. We have a little bit over 365 staff, and we have a lot of small schools, both for special education and alternative education, that if you count each of those different classrooms and sites, we have 45 different sites. And so a lot of small sites spread out all over the county. And this is a picture of our wonderful team at one of our celebratory picnics. You have County Board of Education members, staff members, and some guests that have joined us. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful community that we're a part of. And we're so proud to come together, work together, and support each other on behalf and support our students. I have the pleasure of working with an amazing Board of Education. We have 7 members that are elected. They're trustees that represent 7 different counties. And we have an important role. The county board has an important role in supporting all the work that the county Office of Education provides. They establish our policies, they pass resolutions, they review and approve our budget. They also hear appeals of district expulsions, transfers, also charter school appeals. And we meet monthly in the boardroom here at the Santa Cruz County Office of Education. Our office, as you well know, is located at 400 Encinal Street here in Santa Cruz. And you're able to download the information for our boards at that link. And one of the things that we have done as a result of the pandemic, we all switched to virtual meetings, and now we're back in person. But we are now offering hybrid meetings. And so you're able to participate either through Zoom or by coming in here to the office. And so it's been really such a great pleasure working with the county board. And I've had the chance to learn and grow with these amazing 7 members that I get to work with. Abel Sanchez, our board president, Alyssa Alto, our vice president, Sue Roth from trustee area 1, Sandra Nichols, trustee area 3, Bruce Van Allen, trustee area 2, Rose Felicetti, area 4, and Ed Acosta from area 6. And really a wonderful group of people who are deeply committed to supporting students and working on behalf of them every day and at our board meetings. So we don't only serve students ourselves, but we work with the districts across Santa Cruz County. And that includes about 38,895 students that were enrolled in schools in 21-22. These students were enrolled in 10 public school districts. And you can see from the breakdown, the numbers of students in different categories. About 60% of the students are Latinx or Hispanic, and about a quarter of the students are maybe about a third of the students are white. And then we have a lot of different other groups of students, ethnicities, and racial groups that the students are a part of. So we have a wonderful, diverse community, and we get to either work directly with those students in our own programs or support districts in attaining in serving those students in Santa Cruz County. We wanted to share with you that one of the biggest trends that we've seen over the last in the last few years has been a significant reduction in enrollment, and it is higher in certain districts more than in others. But this downward enrollment trajectory is really something of concern, because not only do we want to make sure that we're serving as many students as possible, but also the funding that we get for our schools is based on enrollment and attendance. And so we've seen that we were expecting some reductions. The pandemic has accelerated the trend in the reduction in enrollment, and we are projecting an additional 10% reduction of enrollment in the next 5 to 10 years. And so one of the main reasons for this is housing costs, but also families leaving the area. And when new families are entering Santa Cruz County, in many cases, they don't have school-aged children. And it's, as we look to the future, it's important for our districts to be thinking about how to prepare for those impacts, because once the funding is aligned to how many students that we have attending our schools, we're going to be seeing significant reductions in funding coming to our schools, and that's something of great concern to us. And we recognize that housing is such an important challenge for our families, but also for staffing. One of the biggest challenges we have in terms of being able to attract people to our area is that housing costs are so high. And we are considered the second most expensive county in the country after San Francisco, when you compare the median income with the median cost of a home. And so this is something that is impacting our families, our students, and as well as, of course, our staff. Now, before the pandemic, we established a focus for the services and our approach when it comes to how we do the work that we do. And we created this strategic plan. We define a new vision, a new mission, and we identify strategic priorities. And a lot of what we do is organized with this strategic plan in mind. And so you'll see that on the outside of this strategic plan graphic, there's 3 blue areas. In the top left corner, you'll see that we work on convening and catalyzing systems change. We also support, and then to the right, support and provide oversight for districts and provide programs and services for students and families. Now, before I talk about the priorities in the middle, which is how we've organized our annual report, I wanted to share with you that we define our vision as that we envision a community with engaged learners and leaders who have the social, emotional, academic, and technical skills to thrive in a changing world. And our mission, to lead an equitable and innovative learner-centered educational system. And our strategic priorities are focused on, in the middle at the heart of our, and in the central part of our strategic plan is a focus on equity in these areas: safety, engagement, and social emotional wellness, academic achievement and college and career readiness, and sustainable systems. And you'll notice that equity appears in a lot of different parts of the strategic, these components of our strategic plan. It's at the heart where it says equity for all learners. It is one of our values. It's also in our mission statement to be an equitable and innovative educational system. And so it is very much something that drives us. It is the lens that we use to see our world and recognize that equity is all about giving students the supports they need to be successful. And that means challenging and dismantling systems that are inequitable and unjust to give those students the opportunities they deserve. And that's really what we stand for at the County Office of Education. Now I'd like to share a video with you.
Santa Cruz United Way in the Office of Education.
I'm going to stop this right now. Were you able to hear that? Yeah. Okay, great. And is it loud? Is the volume the right volume? Okay, great. All right, so we're going to try that again. Let's try that one more time.
In Santa Cruz, United Way and the Office of Education are getting thousands of kids ready for school to start next week.
It's nice to help people sometimes. And after you do it, you'll feel really good about it.
The purpose of today's event is to connect community members to the larger issue of climate action and hear from a variety of voices about diverse environmental topics.
So I want to give a big shout out to Nick Ibarra, who is the one who put together that video. We wanted to give you a little flavor of our programs and our big focus on students. And so really grateful to Nick, who got a lot of content from our tech team, and Reynaldo, who's helped me out with Reynaldo's last name. Barrios, thank you. With Reynaldo Barrios, who worked on a lot of the media content that went in there. And you'll see that we've been working so hard to be able to support students and really uplift their voice, and just really enjoyed this collage of different activities that we got to share with you right now. So let's talk a little bit about the different areas. So the first one we wanted to focus on is safety and engagement. And our goal is that every learner is safe, connected, supported, and socially, emotionally healthy. And of course, we've known, but we now know more than ever that as a result of the pandemic, the important role of feeling safe and having a social emotional connection, not only with school, but really for students to be able to have that as a necessary part for them to be able to learn and thrive. And we have really, I think, prioritize this as an area of focus for us in the work over the 21-22 school year. So in focusing on that, of course, what was front and center for us starting in 2020 and is helping to support our schools and doing everything we can for them to be as safe as possible. And as soon as we were able to open our schools. And we worked hard to provide to support schools with their vaccination program and also a robust testing program for COVID-19. We helped partner with Inspire Diagnostics and all the school district, Cabrillo College, and other partners to be able to conduct almost over 500,000 tests in 21-22, and the majority of which to students, and also supporting the vaccination of 26,000 individuals. And to do this and to organize, we hired a COVID-19 manager. We had weekly meetings with pediatric health groups, the district charters, private schools, and of course, public health, and kept our guidance up to date for all our schools and provided technical assistance for all our schools. And you can check out some data, some specific data about our efforts in our COVID dashboard, and there's a link there for you. But COVID was such a impactful, focus. It was such an anchor in some ways for a lot of the work that we did, and we worked so hard to be able to get our schools to reopen in person for our students, and continue to do that in the 22-23 school year, of course. The big focus on wellness, of course, is, as I mentioned earlier, has been such a high priority for us. And we convene a community of practice of different school personnel to talk about how to incorporate social emotional learning at all levels in the educational system. We also received a grant that we used to develop a program called the Companion Project, where we have a team of people who are providing support, referrals, and connections for behavioral health and substance use. And these are for students that have not been able to obtain access to services through the normal means. And so these are, in many cases, students with high acuity needs, or students who've been otherwise unable to access support services for their mental health. And we've also provided trainings and support for over 250 educators and other partners. And we'll be talking about this in a little bit later, but we've launched continue to support our initiative for racial equity and justice by creating equitable access to a variety of resources for our community. Now, student leadership is something that we continue to promote. We believe in elevating students' voice, and one of the big areas of focus for our students was the development of leadership groups of students. We established 5 new student leadership groups last year, including the Countywide Black Student Union. Working with the Queer and Trans Youth Council, a student focus on racial equity and justice, the Youth Artists Taking Action, and another group called identified as the Youth for Environmental Action. And so working with a leadership and engagement coordinator, Celeste Gutierrez, we were able to continue to support all of these students, and each one of them had a different an area of focus, but they also came together as a leadership alliance to be able to talk about issues that overlapped across all of the different groups. We also launched a school board academy for students over the summer, and we're able to provide support for students who were either thinking about or had already been selected to be part of the school board. And I have to tell you that personally, working directly with students is one of the things I enjoy the most. I get to go to visit and hang out with the students and learn from them on the Saturday meetings that we have at our school sites. And I was able to be the main instructor for the School Board Academy over the summer. And that's something that I truly enjoyed, working with our amazing, inspiring youth. As we look forward to the school year in the area of safety and engagement, we believe that the safety and wellness is going to be, will continue to be core areas of focus for us for this school year. This year, we launched the Incident Command Academy to support all districts in knowing how to respond to different kinds of incidents, including active shooter situations and other threats. And that's something that we have the participation of every school district in the county. Also, strengthening our Safe Schools Consortia, working between school, law enforcement, and fire. The wellness, we have a wellness center initiative. The idea is to create wellness centers that offer students with support and counseling on site at different high schools. And so we're hoping to be able to have a model where we could go for any of our high school students to be able to walk into a facility that would have staff ready to serve them and provide support for their wellness and well-being. And this year, we're hoping to launch, to design and prepare 2 wellness centers at 2 different school districts, and continue to support all the school districts as they focus on community schools and wellness centers. And the next area we'd like to focus on is academic achievement. And we're an educational institution. And so we're a fundamental part of who we are is to help students prepare, to have the skills to be successful, to open up as many doors as possible for them to be able to pursue their educational pursuits, to be able to think about the skills that they need to be successful in their careers and other endeavors. And so our goal is that all learners will have the academic and non-academic skills and supports to be actively engaged and successful in careers, further education, and their communities. And looking at, I think, did I skip over? Okay, yeah, I think that one moving forward is going to be a little bit later. So in terms of our equity initiative, which I kind of introduced earlier, this was the second year of convening our racial equity and justice community of practice. Last year, joining educators and students to explore identities and acquire practical tools to take meaningful action. We hosted several equity town halls throughout the year. We established an ethnic studies community of practice and launched the Racial Equity and Justice Initiative online, which included resource opportunities, resources with a strong component of student voice. And you can check out that information over in that link. And so again, equity is such a focus for us both internally. We continue to also to do work with our managers and in our own organization, and also began providing additional training and support to school districts with their own equity initiatives. And so we saw this as kind of an inside out approach where we started our own equity initiative, and then we're able to expand and provide support to districts with their own initiative. And so when it comes to supporting students, we did a variety of things this year, including increasing our summer school services, outdoor science school, providing safe spaces for more than 4,000 students. And this was quite a challenge in the COVID-19, helping students to discover and learn and participate in the next generation science centers. We conducted the Science and Engineering Fair, and which returned to being in person. Math contests. We launched a building trades and pre-apprenticeship to help students develop skills to help them with a career. Launched a cybersecurity club in partnership with Cabrillo College, and also released a countywide arts plan for equity. Each of these items was a huge amount of work by our amazing team, and each of them we could spend a lot of time talking about, but we just wanted to give you again a flavor, just a taste of the amount of work that we have been focusing on to continue our effort and advocating for students. As we think about our as we think about moving forward, our focus on equity is going to continue, and that is a focus that drives everything that we do. This year, we have launched a new equity council with the support of Dr. Pedro Noguera and with representation from the school districts. We are expanding our science fair to be a STEAM expo so that interested parties could contact our science coordinator, Heather Wygant. And then also we're going to be focusing a lot on assessment data, because one of the biggest challenges for our students in the time during the pandemic has been a concern about the learning environment not being as impactful as we would have liked it to be. And so we recognize that many students have gotten behind in their learning, and we have to accelerate them. And so a big focus for us as a County Office of Education is to support school districts to ensure that students are able to catch up and to continue their progress in learning the standards and learning and moving towards graduation and their post-secondary goals. Now, when it comes to achievement data, as I mentioned earlier, the pandemic has been deeply impactful on student learning and wellness. And so we recognize that some people refer to it as learning loss. Some people call it kind of a stagnation, or that students have really, in some cases, had a tough time learning in the virtual environment. I could tell you personally, I had two students, an older student and a younger student. The older student thrived in working virtually with their teacher, whereas my younger student my younger child had a tough time. And we know that that's different experiences that the children had in our county is something that we've heard all over, and we are seeing data that shows us that many students were not as successful with that. And we are starting to look at statewide test data from the California Department of Education. And we will soon be releasing that information. It's starting to become available now, and we will be we'll be able to see how well our students are doing, and how impacted they were by the pandemic. And we wanted to share with you that we developed a data portal to help the community be able to interpret data in a variety of different sources. We look at everything from California Healthy Kids data, which tells us about social and emotional well-being for students. We look at academic data, graduation rates, attendance rates. Whenever we get information, we put it into our data portal, and you're able to play around with the data and answer questions. And so we encourage you to check out the data portal. And as we get our CASP data, our statewide assessment data into the data portal, you'll be able to examine it and see where our areas of focus are going to be for us, and in support of our districts and our students. Our third area of focus is in sustainable systems. And our goal is of course, for our system in the education system in Santa Cruz County to be cohesive, effective, and equitable. And you have a picture of Sergio Ibarra there in our internet, in our NOC, which is our kind of the center of our technology for here in the County Office of Education. Is where all the connectivity for the county actually goes through these machines and these servers and switches, and because that is one of the services that we offer our districts. So when looking at sustainable systems, we're looking at providing the support and oversight for our school districts, which includes a lot of our business services division, which really provides a lot of services for payroll. We help with everything from supporting vendors and payments, and assisting our districts with enrollment, ADA reports, and budgets. And budgets are really, really important. A huge part of what we do is supporting districts to make sure that they have solvent, sustainable, positive budgets. And so a law that passed a few years ago called AB 1200 means that we verify, we review, and support school districts with their budgets to make sure that in a 3-year window that their budgets are solvent, and when they're not, we provide support to figure out how they can get to a place where they are solvent. This has been a very challenging year for our business services department, because the amount of different funding that has come into the county has made it very challenging to be able to kind of organize, track, and ensure compliance. And so there's been a lot of work that our business services division has been doing to support districts to be able to ensure that their budgets are in a good place, and also to be able to ensure that when you spend funding from a specific funding source, that you're following all the rules and requirements of that funding source. And we have just an amazing team that has been able to do a great deal of work in support of our own programs, and also the school districts that we serve. We've also been working on workforce development. That includes looking at creating pathways to be able to bring in new teachers, trying to encourage people to get into education, because we have been very challenged in being able to get the staffing for our schools, especially in certain areas like special education teachers, math teachers, science teachers, instructional aides for special education. So a lot of positions, bus drivers, different positions that really have been very difficult to hire for. And so we've been working to try to increase that, being able to fill those positions for our schools. And in some ways we've done pretty well, but there are a lot of open positions in our district. We have a website called edjoin.org, which is where people find jobs, and we encourage people to go check out jobs that they may be able to qualify for. But you'll see a lot of open positions that are still open right now in our county. Now, when we look at the different funding sources, we like to share a little bit about our budget, and you'll see that all of the all the funding sources that we receive for 21-22, which was for last year, you'll see that where they come from, about 58% of our funding came from local control funding formula, which is our allocation based on the numbers of students that attend our schools. About 14% came from federal sources, 12% from other state revenue, and 16% from other local revenue. And then when you look at how we spend our money, you'll see that we spend about 46% of our money on salaries, 26% on benefits. And so if you add those two numbers up, that adds up to 72%. And then we also have other books and supplies, services, and other costs. And very little is spent on capital outlay, which are kind of big costly items like vehicles and so on. And then as we look to the next school year, you'll see that, or this school year, you'll see that we're focusing. You can see where our funding is kind of categorized, like looking at general unrestricted funding, 26% on our alternative education services, about 14% on restricted categorical, which means that those are funds that have strings attached. And we have about 19% are on local programs, our own charter school, the Career Advancement Charter, also our own adult education programs, and also our own child development programs. So as we look to the future, we're hoping that that's the positive place that the state economy has been will continue, although we are hearing of course, the possibility that that's not going to be the case, because what happens to the economy impacts the county office as well as the school districts that we serve. So as we look forward to the next school year, you'll see that it's very important for us to keep our focus on sustainability. We are working on building a statewide leadership role with the Cali, elevating student voice through the Youth for Environmental Action. And in 21-22, we received the California Green Ribbon Award, which is the highest level that any county office of education has received. And we're starting to we got their silver award, and so we're starting to talk about what are the steps that we have to take to get a gold award, because we feel like we can't talk about and teach sustainability and environmental responsibility without being able to also walk the talk and be role models for schools and school districts. We're also going to be continuing to promote digital literacy throughout the Bay Area through Shift Ed, which is ensuring that students are developing a kind of at least above a literacy standard, a digital literacy standard, and as always, supporting financial stability and support with our districts, and continuing to advocate that the funding and the resources are being used in the most efficient manner. And so we would like to ask you to think about ways to stay in touch with us. We're going to continue providing information. One of the things that we're doing that is not here on this list is that in January, we're going to have a big event to really provide you a lot more data, a lot more information, because we'll have a lot of that statewide data. We'll also be talking in more detail about the different accomplishments that we have been able to achieve over the last couple of years. You can also continue to stay up to date by subscribing to our weekly newsletter, and there's a link there for you to be able to subscribe. Or you could come to our website and go to santacruzcoe.org and be able to check out what is going on at the COE. And you could follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And we also, you may have noticed that we have monthly columns in the Sentinel where we highlight different areas of focus for us. Or you can send me an email directly, and you can use that QR code to check in to get access to our newsletter. And so at this point, I'm going to stop sharing and see if we have any questions from our attendees. Is there anybody who'd like to ask us a question? You could put it in the chat. We can, we'd be happy to provide you any information that you would like. We do want to encourage you to consider getting a physical copy of the book of our annual report, either by coming here to the COE or requesting it, and we'll also, you should have access now to a link that gives you the PDF version. I think I might have to put somebody on the spot. Nick, why don't you ask a question?
Oh, sure. I love questions. Takes me back to being a journalist. Let's see. You know, I think you covered a lot of it, Faris, but I guess, you know, I'm always curious about what the academic data is showing. I know that you talked about that we've been seeing previews, but could you maybe just sketch out? I know the data is unofficial, but I think there is some cause to think that that there has been impacts due to the pandemic, and just what are you seeing and what should people be aware of before that data does come out?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So, you know, looking at some of the previews, we are seeing that in a significant number of students really are struggling in the area of mathematics. And so when looking at both language arts and math seems to be the one that seems to be most impacted. I think that once the data is going to be available, we're going to see a lot of inconsistencies across the county, where we're going to see certain schools that did, the students in those schools really did better than students in other schools. And I think that it's really important that as we look at this data, that it's not being used in a punitive way. We have to recognize that this has been an extremely difficult time for our students and our families and our staff. But it is an opportunity for us to figure out what are the areas that we need to focus on to help accelerate our students. And so we're going to be messaging that a lot, I think, over the next few months, because to really look at the positive, the kind of what we can learn from that data to be able to help us help students be able to accelerate the learning in the areas that they need the most help with. And we still have some funding from the state for that. We still have services that are being provided across the county through our districts, after school, summer school programs. And I think that we need to really be focused on helping students so that we can minimize the negative impact of the pandemic when it comes to learning, and really accelerate the students' learning and progress towards graduation and college acquisition. Carol Delmar asks, what is my definition, or what is our definition of equity? And it's funny that you asked that, Carol, because I used to use a very mathematical definition in the past, which was that there would not be, for our students who come from historically marginalized communities, that there was not equity as a vision where we would be, is where there wouldn't be a difference in outcomes for those students because of them being part of marginalized communities. In other words, that a student who is Latinx has the same chances and opportunities and outcomes for success as a student from any other group. And the definition that we've kind of evolved to use now is one that is used by the National Equity Project and also by Pedro Noguera, which is a simpler one, which is more of an action definition. It's about giving students what they need to be successful. And it also is related to outcomes, and it also is related to students who come from historically marginalized groups. It's ensuring that those students are getting the supports that they need to be successful in every measure of success, whether we're talking about graduation, college entry, performance on different tests. And that really tells us about breaking down the cycles of breaking down the inequitable practices, the unjust practices that exist in our communities and in our schools, and being able to provide the support that students need. And that's something that we're working towards every single day.
Faris, there is a question in the Q&A feature as well from someone you
All
may
right.
recognize.
Inside education. Yes. Les Forrester asked a question about inside education. So one of the most amazing opportunities for our community to learn about education is called Inside Ed. And this is something that I believe was created by Michael Watkins, my wonderful mentor predecessor. And this was created an opportunity for people to learn about how education works. And this invites people from all over the county. Now we even have waiting lists. That's how popular this is. You get to learn about different parts of the educational system, both schools, private schools, charter schools, and a variety of different programs. You get to hear from people who are running those programs, who know about those programs, and then you get to visit and you get to listen to students, and you get to learn from the students, and you get to see those programs in action. It's a wonderful program, and Les Forrester has been facilitating this program for us for the last few years and been doing an outstanding job. And people just absolutely love to participate in Inside Education. And so we encourage you, if you'd like to know more about the educational system, not just the County Office of Education, to keep an eye out for emails and information in our newsletters about Inside Ed, because we'd love for you to join us and to learn about how the school system works.
We probably should have included that in our list, because that is our deepest dive, right? You know, you talk about ways to stay informed. There's no way to get a deeper dive than Inside Ed. Well, I actually had another one, because there's another thing I realized we may not have had room to fit on the list, which is a new student leadership initiative. We're creating a new student group around mental health, part of the wellness focus. And I don't think we had space for it on the slide, but maybe you could share a little bit about that and our goals with the mental health student group.
Yeah, so we've establishing two new groups this year with Celeste Gutierrez. One is a focus on multilingual learners, and Sophia Sorensen, who's our multilingual coordinator. And another leadership group is a mental health leadership council of students leaders. And this is as a result of working with Sunrise Rotary and Monarch Services. And so we felt like mental health has become such an important part of everything that we do in education, that our schools have to be hubs for mental wellness and mental health. But we needed to make sure that we were listening to our students in the design and implementation of these programs. And so this group of students who's coming from across the county are going to help us design the wellness centers. They're going to help us provide feedback about services, tell us what the challenges are, help us to destigmatize mental health for youth, and really be able to support this big focus on wellness that we're hoping to accomplish. And we're really grateful to Sunrise Rotary Santa Cruz to help fund this initiative, and we're really excited about what this new group of leaders are going to be accomplishing. Looks like, and then I want to give a shout out to Rose Filicetti, who is one of our County Board of Education members here today. Thank you for being here. I also see Abel Sanchez, and who else is a part of our session today? Sue Roth as well. Thank you for being here. Rose mentioned that she was an Inside Education alumnus and joined the board as part of our County Board of Education. And again, very grateful to the great work that we get to do with our County Board of Education. Well, I think that I'm looking for, have you spoken about student representation on the Santa Cruz County of Education Board? Thank you, Sue Roth. So one of the things that we're focusing on is to be able to offer, so there has been some legislation that really encourages the participation of student representatives on the school board and on the County Board of Education. And our County Board of Education has taken the initiative to request that we create a process to be able to involve student leaders on the county board as student trustees. And so we've initiated that process in our alternative education program. We're starting to gather applications. And once we do that, we're going to hopefully identify a student leader who is going to be able to participate at our meetings and really be the student voice at our county board of education meetings. And so we're really excited about that and really grateful to our county board for promoting having students as part of our board meetings. All right. Well, I think that is probably going to be it for tonight. I want to thank you all for participating in tonight's session. And please keep an eye out for the different things we talked about, our newsletter, our information in this, our articles in the Sentinel. You can check out our website, but also that event in January. We're still working on setting up our date, but we're going to have one in Santa Cruz and one in Watsonville. And so we're really excited to have everybody be a part of that. It's going to be in person, and we're also going to broadcast it. And we just want it to be a celebratory event to really, and there's going to be student performances, and it should be a lot of fun. And it'll be great to be together with you in person once again. So I want to give a big shout out to our cabinet team. And again, to Nikki Barra for helping to coordinate the annual report this year. And we can't wait to see you in future sessions. We got a lot of exciting activities going on, and you help make us better. Your feedback helps to make us to make our work better. And we look forward to seeing you in our sessions in the future. Thank you so much, everybody.